Welcome, Legends fans. It's your boy Beaky, and first of all, I do need to apologize for yesterday and, well, over the weekend there was no stream. Well, it was the holidays, and kind of I forgot about that, and my friends, we all went out, and I kept dragging me out over the weekend. I just couldn't find a damn time to even stream. Even when though I could stream from my cell phone, I just never had enough quietness that you guys wouldn't even been able to hear what I was saying. So unfortunately, no stream this weekend. Do want to apologize. And as well, there was no Fallout video on Fridays like I tried to do Fallout Fridays. We do have some interesting news because, well, Bethesda's teasing a brand new Fallout game, or is it teasing the re-release of Fallout 3? Hopefully that's going to come out to something like the Nintendo Switch. I don't know. But today, let's actually continue our discussions from last week about the disadvantages and the advantages of net decking. Now, I'm going to talk about this while showing you guys some interesting gameplay right here. This is me playing with a very basic Battle Mage deck that I made on the channel a few weeks ago. So this is another example of this deck actually can work. This was a back to basic deck. You guys can look up the video. What I meant by that is it's a deck that I know standard issue is going to work. Lightning bolts, shackling creatures, having ways of defending yourselves, having ways to send creatures back to your opponent's hand, dealing damage straight from hand, ward, draw. These are just standard stuff that's good in any deck in Legends, and by combining them without having no big overall grand plan, it's just a mid-range deck that can adapt to the situation. Well, here I am facing against an opponent that's using a Betray deck. That's what I really would call it. As you guys will see, it's a very long match. A lot of Betray happens, and Battle Mage decks are usually really fast and to the point, but I'm able to survive long enough to actually pull out the really good victory that I need to, well, pull out because I want to win. But let's actually talk about net decking. So let's say if my opponent, the deck that they're playing with right now, was a net decking deck. They went into Legends decks, they saw this deck, lots of Betray cards, they got all these Betray cards from opening up packs, they want to put it together and play with it without really understanding the concept. It's a great easy way to learn it as long as they got the cards for free and they didn't really go ahead and craft it. So that's like my big first advantages of net decking. If you have all the cards to make a deck, there's nothing wrong about making a deck, going to casuals like you're doing right now and playing with that deck. As long as you didn't go ahead and spend thousands of soul gems crafting the legendaries and all the cards you need and not really fully understand the deck, because a lot of the decks on Legends decks don't have videos accompanying with it or strategies. That's why some of my older decks and even some of my newer ones, I'll actually put a little written guide and a link to a video so you guys know what the deck's about. And I think that's something that that's really cool about some of the content creators in Legends. They'll do that and make sure you guys understand how the deck actually works and some of the disadvantages, because not every deck is going to be the greatest possible thing ever. Like this deck I'm right here, there's no way of gaining health back. So you got to be really careful about when you could attack and when you can't. And sometimes you can't attack because you just don't want to give your opponent more cards than you when you already have less health and you wanted to play really aggro. But definitely, if you have the cards are ready from opening packs, give a deck a try. It's an easy way to go ahead and try something new out and it can keep the game fun for you. So that's my first advantage of net decking. The next advantage, and people have mentioned it before, and I understand why you guys like it, is as a new player, net decking gives you a way to make a deck that might be possibly playable early on in the game. And it's going to always really come back into me is about you need to have the cards are ready, or you need to be able to see a video of this deck being played by somebody else, either on stream. And if you see that, then making that deck will be more comfortable for you. And I'm not trying to say net decking is a bad thing, because once again, I make deck builds. That's what I do, but I want to make sure you guys know what you guys are getting into with those decks that you're playing with that I make. I don't want to put something out there and just proclaim that's the best thing ever. That's especially like with some of the ranked decks. I'll take a screenshot of all the matches I've had with the last 10 or so matches and show you the win to loss ratio. Like, oh, I won 7 out of 10. I've won 12 out of 13, whatever it might be. You know, I won all the matches, so that then you guys have a concept of how well the deck's actually performing at the current time. And that's all about using net decking correctly. If you're going to Legends Deck or any other website or even Reddit or even like the forums and you see a deck, make sure you're looking when that deck was actually created, because that's super important. Once again, if that deck was made 6 months ago, it's just not going to work for you very well because of patches, things like that changes the game. You might have a card balance change for that card. It's not going to work out the way you would intend it. But if everything everything is current. Especially if you go to Legends Deck, they have a feature that lets you see the decks from the last 2 weeks. And usually the last 2 weeks are current enough for you to actually go ahead and see how things are working in the meta and just see how the game is being played. But there's also something else you have to think about with the monthly reward cards coming at the end of every month. Sometimes those cards are quite nice, like Archer. Y'all, Archer's a big card when it first came out. It actually changes the way how people deal with supports, and that's a card that was integrated really quickly. So a deck that maybe really focus about support, like let's say like a Hissgrove deck. I'm just like throwing it out there. Let's say Hissgrove and a bunch of other supports were really popular, and then you get that deck on the 29th and on the 30th, and then the next day is a new month, and then the Y'all Archer or a card like that comes out. Everybody's playing that. Now that card is just removing supports because that's the monthly reveal card. But if you're a new player and you're not keeping on top of what are the newest monthly reward cards and what do they do, like this month the monthly reward card is all about gaining Magicka, right? So you can expect the start of the month, a lot of people are going to try this card out. Now, if you wanted to be kind of a fun player, you could try to play decks to take advantage of this and try to counter that. You could play decks that limit Magicka gain. You could play decks that have it be really fast-paced aggro to stop opponents from gaining Magicka that quickly if they're playing some type of integration or scout where they're gaining a lot of Magicka. So there's a lot of ways you can play with the system. But once again, you just got to know what's happening in the game if you're going to go ahead and just take a deck what you see online. Maybe the last 2 weeks is just not enough. You got to really look on when click on that deck. Was it making within the last few days? Has there been any updates to the game? And unfortunately, you're going to really have to go on Bethesda's Twitter, and you have to go on the Legends Twitter. They do a really good job of updating us when there's going to be changes to the game, and I really think you should follow them on Twitter, even over their freaking own website and over Reddit. It's just like I like Reddit, I like their website. It's just like I feel like they're on point on Twitter. They're really on point about telling you when things are going to happen to the game, when things are announced. It's right there. You can follow them. Boom, you get the notification. Having to go to the website, refresh it. Been to the website before, and there's been like formatting issues, and you have to republish an article. I've been to Reddit, and there's a lot of people talking on Reddit. Even when it's official announcements, kind of sometimes you don't get the right link. It's just usually when I see on Twitter, you follow them. You know if there's an update, you get the information you need to know. You could go back into there, follow the timeline, really one single page right there, like, okay, these cards changed within the last few weeks. Maybe I shouldn't play with the deck compared to what that I see on Netdecking. And I see somebody made a deck, but they made that video, they made that deck 2 weeks ago. It's probably not going to work as well now if it features some of those cards that has changed. It's just about being upfront and making sure that your deck you're picking is current. And it's not that some of the older decks are not going to work. It's just that some of the older decks are just going to be outdated. And that's why I like this deck that I put together, truthfully, just because of the fact that, well, it's something more modern, but yet has a lot of older flair. Because there are definitely cards in here that have been changed, like Outposts. Outposts used to be a 2 Magicka card. When at 2 Magicka, Outpost is unbelievable powerful with like your Northern Firebrands or Radiant Party. It's just such a great turn 5. You could get 2 Northern Firebrand and like from Radiant Party for 3 Magicka, and then you could put down Northern Outpost and then go ahead and just hit the face for 4 damage right there. That's a really cool thing right there. You get 2 monsters keeping on the field that have the little boost right there. So it's all about learning what has changed in the game. Is certain cards worth still playing? And unfortunately, it still requires a new player to the game, who I'm really focusing this video on, to take the initiative to look up things online and not just jump in and play with the first deck they see online. And the only time, like again, I'm going to recommend you just play a deck that you see online. If for some reason you see a deck that's a new player deck or something, you just happen to open a lot of packs and you have it. If you're that guy who starts a CCG online, you know, and you're willing to spend $100 to open a pack before you even play the match, play a lot online, and you get a bunch of good cards and you get what you need to do to make the type of deck you want to make. If you want to make a Pilfer deck, Scout deck, and you see something on Buddy online, you just search for it and you have all the cards available in your inventory, then put it together. Even if some of the cards were changed, if you have the cards, put it together, try it, see if you like it. But in the end of the day, you're still going to need a little bit more extra information. You're going to need somebody to write some information on the page, letting you know what were the advantages, disadvantages. You need to see a video how the deck is going to work, especially when you're new to the deck. Even me, as somebody who's been playing the game a long time, I've been away, and being away, some of the newer mechanics all combined together. I still would like to see, like, you know, like this Betrayed deck. Watching this person play this Betrayed deck was a lot of fun, just because I want to see what they're doing. Are they trying to go for like a daily quest to try to use Betray a certain amount of time, or they're actually trying to win with this deck, because I'm like, oh, some of these cards that they're using for the card collector, I'm like, even in the most cases, it's not the greatest card out there to use in general, even though you're going to get the Spider Worker if you have to use it with a Betray. But I don't know what they were specifically going for. Who knows? Could be a lot of different things. I mean, they got some value there, but like I said, in the end, I still win the match nonetheless. So this has been Beaky here with the Untitled Game Show. Don't be afraid to net deck. Just be safe about it. Make sure you're educated somewhat about the deck you're about to make. Make sure that you have the cards in your inventory. Please just don't craft a bunch of cards unnecessarily. Wasting soul gems, it's a horrible feeling when you're just starting playing the game, especially if you're not buying a lot of packs, if you're not putting a lot of money into the game. That way, if you want to save your money for buying cool card backs, because some of the new card backs are pretty darn cool. I like that Bethesda keeps adding those to the game. I mean, Justin Larson said that he's going to be doing something with Bethesda for E3, so we know that some either new type of content or something's going to be announced in the next few weeks. So that might be something you want to save your gold soul gems for, and you don't want to waste a bunch of it net decking and soul summoning a bunch of cards that don't work for a deck that you're not gonna really enjoy. I made the mistake, and all I was trying to say with the last video is just be careful with it. It's not you never should net deck. It's just make sure you go about it properly and educated about the deck you're gonna play. So been Big here with the Untitled Game Show. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. For the rest of this, just enjoy this match and like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know if you guys agree with my more positive sides about net decking and how to approach it. I'm sure there's some people out there that's like, just play a deck that you see that's working, that has the most upvotes, and I still don't think that's the best way to go about it, because I've seen some troll upvoted decks on Legends Access decks that have a bunch of legendaries that literally don't work, but it looks like it could work from a new player perspective, and you just gotta be careful of stuff like that. You just really have to be, especially with our community. Sometimes we don't like putting enough information on the page with the deck. So yeah. Well, the match is over either ways. I didn't actually plan for me to talk the whole entire time, but I guess I am just a talker like that. Till next time, me, the Hiss, aid you. Peace out, guys.